baby fish are filling their tiny bellies with shards of plastic. In fish nurseries off the coast of Hawaii, plastics outnumber baby fish 7-1. 1,000 pieces of plastic debris were found in the stomach of an endangered sperm whale that washed up in Indonesia. Officials found 19 pieces of hard plastic, 4 whole plastic bottles, 25 plastic bags, 2 flip-flops, 115 plastic cups, and 1,000 pieces of plastic string. An estimated 5 tons of plastic are fed to albatross chicks each year at Midway Atoll. Over 90% of the approximately 320,000 chicks that hatch each year on the atoll contain plastic in their stomachs, and it's estimated that half of them will die because of it. It's estimated that by 2050, 99% of all seabird species will be ingesting plastic. A study from northern France has found that periwinkle snails living in microplastic-infused water fail to respond appropriately when hunted by a crab. It appears that the toxins in microplastics inhibit the chemical cues that would normally help a snail know what to do when hunted by a crab. A study documented trash on 2 islands in the South Pacific. They found 414 million pieces of garbage, most of it plastic. The researchers found around 61,000 Henderson Island crabs and 508,000 crabs on the Cocos Keeling Islands are estimated to become entrapped in debris and die every year. The crabs use the odor of dead crabs to scope out available shells. So once one has crawled into a plastic container and becomes trapped, it eventually dies and attracts more to the trap. Plastic particles have been found in the guts of tiny animals living at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth. The researchers found that 72% of the total samples of the amphipods they studied contained plastic fibers and fragments in their guts. The plastic particles are concerning because these can attract PCBs and other toxins, and they can leach chemicals of their own. The physical presence of particles in a tiny creature's belly creates disruptions, blocking its digestive tract and impeding mobility. Some of these stories may seem like they're from places far away from those of us in Montana. But scientists found more than 1,000 tons of microplastics are deposited onto protected lands in the western United States each year, equivalent to more than 123 million plastic water bottles. A visiting Chinese researcher working with the University of Montana's Flathead Lake Biological Station found microplastics in the samples collected at 12 sites along Flathead Lake. Research from Montana State University found microplastics contaminate Montana's snow and rain. The study found fibers, polyester, and other pieces of microplastic in dozens of snow samples taken from Big Sky Resort, Teton Pass, and other Rocky Mountain sites. The Gallatin Microplastics Initiative surveyed microplastics contamination in the watershed of Montana's Gallatin River. 72 sample locations were seasonally sampled for 2 consecutive years. 774 total samples were collected. 57% of Gallatin samples contained microplastic pollution. In a study during the summer of 2019, Environment Montana tested samples from 50 fishing access points across Montana. They found tiny bits of plastic in almost 70% of those water bodies. Everywhere scientists have looked, they have found plastic, including the Arctic, the top of remote mountains, beer, salt, and in river food web systems where birds like dippers feed microplastic-contaminated insects to their young. Microplastics bioaccumulate and move through the food chain. One study found that the fruits and vegetables we eat, including apples, carrots, and lettuces, are being contaminated with microplastics by absorbing microplastics through their roots. Scientists have detected micro and nanoplastic particles in human tissues and organs in the form of monomers, the small molecules that react together to make plastic. Plastic pollutes at every stage of its life cycle, from extraction and production to when it becomes waste. and it disproportionately harms people of color and marginalized people in economically depressed areas around the world, including Harrisburg, Manchester, and East Houston, Texas, where the airborne concentration of 1,3-butadiene, a building block chemical used in the manufacturing of plastic, is more than 150 times greater, and residents are 22 times more likely to develop cancer when compared to the wealthier and predominantly white West Houston communities. 79% of the 73 incinerators in the U.S. are located in low-income communities and/or communities of color, like Chester City, Pennsylvania, where 200 tons of recycling material is burned in the huge Covanta incinerator every day, and the rate of ovarian cancer is 64% higher, and lung cancer is 24% higher than the rest of Pennsylvania. There are many communities in the world where wealthier countries send their plastic waste, like the one in Malaysia where Lily Binti Kamal's house is next to a plastic recycling factory. When she grew up there, her house was surrounded by forests. She used to fish in the creeks, and now the water and air is too polluted for her children to fish or even go outside. We are on a path of doubling plastic production in the next 20 years, a path of more and more consumption, accepting that it is okay to sacrifice some lives and that there are lives with less value. Can we create a path shaped by the understanding that there is no less important life? Our current production premise is that nature is an endless supply of resources for us to exploit. Can we act on behalf of diverse ecosystems and living beings, small and large? Can we create a responsible, regenerative path? Can we acknowledge that nature has value for its own sake, in its own right, and accept our responsibility to protect the rights of nature? What we do to the web of life, we do to ourselves. We are interdependent and bound together. We have to change our relationship to plastic. It's going to require governments to regulate, businesses to innovate, and individuals to act. Much of the plastic we produce is designed to be thrown away after being used only once. As a result, plastic packaging accounts for about half of the plastic waste in the world. Extended producer responsibility will be an essential part of solving our plastic mess, but you can also help by refusing some common single-use plastic items. Here are just a couple examples. 1 million plastic bottles are bought every minute, and we create and throw away 16 billion coffee cups a year.
You can help by drinking beverages from a reusable cup or bottle.
Plastic straws are currently the 4th most found ocean trash in cleanups by quantity. It's estimated that 437 million to 8.3 billion plastic straws are on the world's coastlines.
Unless you need one, please stop using plastic straws.
It's estimated that if you tied together the number of plastic bags consumed in the world every minute, they would circle the world 7 times every hour.
If it's possible for you, you can help by using reusable grocery bags and reusable bags for fruits and vegetables.
Any way you can reduce your use of single-use plastics will make a difference. Talk to the people in your life and the places where you shop about your zero-waste efforts.
Here are a couple other suggestions for action. If you live in the United States, ask your representatives and senators to support the Break Free from Plastic Act, sponsored by Senator Tom Udall and Representative Alan Lowenthal. For more information, check out some of the groups working on plastic pollution: Surfrider Foundation, Plastic Pollution Coalition, Break Free from Plastic, The Story of Stuff, Global Alliance for Incinerator Alternatives, and Greenpeace. As Anne-Marie Bonneau says, we don't need a handful of people doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly.
Do what you can.